Remember a time when filling up your car didn't require a small loan? Well, strap in, America, because everything you think you know about EVs and energy is about to get a serious reality check. You see, Trump's new energy plan isn't just another policy shuffle. It's actually a complete rewriting of the rules. You see, what I'm about to show you, even the experts didn't see coming. But hold on, before we get into the shocking implications of these changes, let's rewind the clock a bit. So you've probably noticed something quite curious lately. EV charging stations popping up like coffee shops, Teslas everywhere, and enough government incentives to give you whiplash. And nothing says future quite like spending 45 minutes at a charging station, scrolling through TikTok while your car gets electronic fix, right? But here's where things go a little sideways. You see, in 2024, EVs made up about 8.5% of all vehicle sales in the US. Now, that might not sound like much, but it represents over 1.3 million vehicles, which is pretty impressive for something that used to be rarer than politicians keeping their promises. But hold on to that thought, because what's coming up next is going to flip this whole industry on its head. January the 20th, 2025, which is day one of Trump's return to office. You see, while most people were still recovering from their inauguration party hangover, Trump was already signing executive orders faster than a NASCAR pit crew changes their tires. The media went crazy. Do you know what? There were headlines everywhere. EV industry, shock energy policy U-turn. Markets react to Trump's day one blitz. But you know what? Let's break down exactly what happened. You see, the 50% EV target by 2030 gone. Those $7,500 tax credits that made the Tesla slightly less expensive, under review. The massive charging station build out paused faster than a YouTube video buffer. And the American auto manufacturers didn't just sit there wondering what hit them. They started revising their production plans faster than you can say supply chain disruption. And Ford, they're already adjusting their electric F-150 Lightning production. GM, they're rethinking their $35 billion EV investment strategy. And Tesla, well, Elon's tweets tell you all about this, and it's interesting to say the least. You see, the numbers seem to tell a story that nobody saw coming. You see, EV growth slowed to 7.2% in 2024, and Tesla's maintaining about 50% market share still. But you know what the thing is, and it's a strange one really, traditional automakers are quietly ramping up hybrid production. And meanwhile, the fossil fuel industry is gearing up like it's 2019 all over again. But look, here's what most people seem to be missing. The ripple effect this is having across the entire industry. You see, what happens, guys, when America sneezes, the global market catches a cold. And this is the equivalent of an economic earthquake. You see, while America's pulling back, guess who's pushing forward? I know you know what I'm going to say next. You see, China is expected to represent 58% of the global EV sales by the end of this year. And guys, that's not just a number, that's a seismic shift in global manufacturing power. And you know what? Chinese manufacturers aren't just plugging the gap. I actually think they're rewriting the whole playbook. And with EV sales expected to exceed 12 million units in 2025, they're growing at 20% year over year. And they're not just selling to themselves anymore. You've probably seen them on this channel. You've got names like BYD, NIO, XPeng. They might sound foreign now, but hear me when I say this. I reckon they're about to become as familiar as Ford or Chevy. And meanwhile, Europe's just sitting there like that friend who started CrossFit, completely committed, but wondering if they're going too hard or too fast. You see, they're targeting a 20.4% market share, which sounds great until you realize what that will mean for their power grid. So let's break down exactly what's happening at this side of the pond. You see, what most people don't realize is power demand is skyrocketing and grid infrastructure is struggling to keep up, especially in places like Germany. Their energy prices are making Americans' complaints look really cute at the moment. But here's where it gets really intriguing. You see, while China and Europe are going all in on EVs, America's taken a step back. It's creating a fascinating dynamic. It's kind of like watching a game of economic musical chairs and someone just changed the song again. Now, remember those 195,000 new jobs tied to EV manufacturing? Well, there's a plot twist. 80% of them are all in Wait for it, Republican districts. Talk about an awkward family dinner conversation. You see, we're talking about nearly $200 billion in investment. You got plants in places like Georgia, Tennessee, Kentucky, red states leading the electronic revolution, or at least they were. So let's talk some real numbers. Ford, $50 billion committed to EV development. GM, $35 billion on the line. And Tesla have already invested over $10 billion in US manufacturing. But here's the thing, guys. These aren't just assembly line jobs. We're talking about high-skilled engineering positions, research and development, supply chain management, and advanced manufacturing. So let's talk about the elephant in the room, or should I say the dinosaur juice in the ground. You see, oil prices are projected to average $74 per barrel this year, and natural gas, that's rising from $2.22 to $3.2 per million BTU. Hands up who remembers when gas was under $2. You see, the thing is, those days might actually be coming back, but the question is, at what cost? You see, the math isn't necessarily mathing. That's not even a word, is it? But low gas prices boost consumer spending. But the problem is that could actually kill EV adoption momentum. And it might also threaten those 195,000 new jobs. You see, these aren't just numbers anymore. They're the economic equivalent of the game of Jenga. Trump just pulled out a bottom piece. And the thing is, one wrong move and the whole thing could come tumbling down. But here's something that might surprise you. This isn't just about energy policy. It's about choice. You see, when we talk about energy independence, we're not just talking about where our power comes from. We're also talking about the freedom to choose how we power our lives. And the reality of American transportation needs is as diverse as the country itself. You see, a family in rural Montana faces vastly different challenges to a tech worker in San Francisco. A contractor that's hauling equipment in Texas requires something entirely different than a suburban mum running errands in Connecticut. This diversity of needs highlights why a one-size-fits-all approach to vehicle policy was always going to be problematic. And you know what? The state-level response to vehicle regulations tells us a fascinating story. You see, California's aggressive push for 100% EV sales by 2035 stands in stark contrast to Texas's commitment to fuel diversity. Whilst Michigan, meanwhile, walks in a really delicate tightrope. It's actually balancing its historic role as the heart of American auto manufacturing with the industry's evolving needs. You see, under the new plan, market forces rather than federal mandates are shaping the automotive landscape. And this shift, guys, has profound implications.
The inflation crisis was caused by massive overspending and escalating energy prices, and that is why today I will also declare a national energy emergency. We will drill, baby, drill.
Without federal incentives, annual EV registrations are projected to drop by 27%. However, this decline is being offset by a surprising surge in hybrid vehicle interest. And the weird thing is, what we're seeing might not actually be market failure. Rather, it's kind of like a market adaptation, really. It's really weird. But you know, the really weird thing is the data reveals something remarkable. You see, when left to their own devices, consumers make choices based on their actual needs rather than government incentives. And you know what? I truly believe that this natural market evolution might be exactly what the American auto industry required. In essence, what you've got is a return to consumer-driven innovation rather than regulation-driven change. And while we're reshuffling our energy deck, the rest of the world, it's not standing still. You see, China's just not playing the game. I've said it before in other videos, they're trying to rewrite all the rules. And like I said to you before, Europe's going all in on green energy like it's the last hand on a poker table. And the global landscape is shifting at a dizzying pace. I've said it before, China's projected dominance is staggering, with forecasts showing 85 million EVs by 2025, or the end of 2025. And Europe isn't far behind, commanding 24% of the global market share. Meanwhile, the US market share is expected to drop to 11.2% under Trump's new policies. Look, guys, that's a significant realignment that's sending shockwaves through the industry. And the reaction from global automotive giants reveals the complexity of this international chess match. And what I can see is that the fact that Volkswagen is doubling down on their EV commitment, while Toyota's hybrid-heavy strategy suddenly looks a bit interesting. But perhaps most tellingly, Chinese manufacturers are eyeing the US market with renewed interest. I believe they're actually sensing an opportunity in the policy shift. In my eyes, the ripple effects extend far beyond vehicle sales. I reckon we're witnessing a fundamental reorganization of global manufacturing power. And all over the world, I think supply chains are just being redrawn. And the technology gap is transferring. It's absolutely accelerating in the East. And manufacturing jobs are shifting across continents in a complex dance of economic interests. You see, the global energy market's response adds another layer of intrigue. That's because the Middle East, that is traditionally dependent on oil revenues, is quietly pouring billions into renewable energy. And we can't forget Russia. They're watching by the sidelines and they're calculating its next move. And all of this while OPEC adjusts production targets in real-time response to these seismic shifts. Yet, amid this global reshuffling, American manufacturing might actually come out ahead. You see, the mechanism behind this unexpected outcome leads us to our next revelation. Guys, just cast your minds back to that shocking twist I mentioned at the beginning. Here it is. I think the winners of Trump's energy plan aren't actually who you expect. And the market projections tell an interesting tale. You see, while overall EV sales are expected to reach 25% by 2030, down from the previous 30% target, this apparent setback masks a fascinating market evolution. You see, what I found is Tesla isn't just surviving the policy shift, they are thriving. And you know what's really crazy? With their 50% market share holding strong, they've proven what many critics doubted. Look, in the end, subsidies were never key to their success. Now, I might get a few people in the comments saying differently, and I'd love for you to actually leave your comments down below, because Tesla's position is particularly illuminating. You see, unlike their competitors who scrambled for government support, Tesla built their empire on technological innovation and manufacturing efficiency. And I reckon their established supercharger network combined with unwavering brand loyalty has created a moat that government policy can't easily breach. In other words, they're not just maintaining their position, I believe they're actually poised to expand it as weaker competitors actually fall away. That's both new and old. But look, there's another surprising victor emerging from this policy shift. And unfortunately, I think it is the hybrid vehicle market. In essence, it's experiencing a renaissance that few saw coming. I certainly didn't. And these vehicles offer a compelling middle ground for most consumers in the US. You see, the thing is, it's proven technology that delivers immediate fuel savings without the range anxiety that still plagues pure EVs. And unfortunately, it's a solution that resonates with practical consumers who want efficiency without the complexity of a full electric adoption. Do you know, I think what we're witnessing is a zero-sum game between electric and traditional vehicles. Instead, a fascinating dual market is emerging. You see, Tesla is continuing to dominate the premium EV space while hybrid manufacturers capture the broader mass market. And this natural market segmentation is creating something remarkable. A transportation ecosystem driven by consumer choice rather than government mandate. And the real winners, American consumers. They're finally getting what they always wanted. They're actually getting more choices at competitive prices that are free from artificial market distortions. So, where does that leave us? In a world of rapid change, maybe the real solution isn't about government mandates or subsidies. Maybe, just maybe, it's all about letting innovation and consumer choice naturally drive the market. EV technology is advancing regardless of what policy is coming in. And I truly believe, this, market forces are creating a natural balance. You see, American manufacturing is adapting and growing, and the energy landscape of 2025 isn't what anyone projected. It certainly wasn't what I predicted, but maybe that's exactly what the Americans needed. It's kind of a reset that puts consumers and businesses back in the driver's seat. So guys, if you like this video and if you found it insightful, please subscribe for more analysis and tell me what you think in the comments below. Is Trump's energy plan the market correction the US needed, or are we missing a bigger opportunity? Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget, in the energy game, the only constant is change. My name's Des from the Electric Oracle, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.